Welcome to Fast Cars, Fast Girls. We are your Indycar experience. And this week, Molly and I have joining us the COO of the City Grand Prix in Nashville,
Ooh,
Tennessee this coming August, Mr. Jason Rittenberry.
ooh, yay!
Yes,
It's a crowd of two, trying to make it lively
that's
for you.
okay. It's exciting. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. We're excited to chat with you. The social media presence has already been out there. The advertising's been out there. And if there's anything that Nashville knows how to do, it's have a great time.
Absolutely. Our motto for this event from day one has been, we're going to give Nashville a reason to throw a party, and then we're going to step out of the way and let Nashville do what Nashville does best. And that's, take care of visitors and throw a party and have a good time.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Molly and I are very much looking forward to this race.
very, very much. So no, I like that idea. Like, let's give Nashville a reason to give a party. But thinking back to like when this all got started, which
It's been a few years.
been a few years. Kind of what was that first driving reason to get the IndyCar race back in Nashville? Actually, was there, who kind of started it? What was the big thought process behind that?
Yeah, well, Matt Cruz, who's one of our three partners here, so it's Matt Cruz, myself, and Chris Parker. Uh, Matt thought of this a few years ago while I was still I was in Austin. I was running Circuit of the Americas and U.S. Formula One, or the Grand Prix. And so Matt and I had known each other, and I'm from Nashville and knew Matt, and was living here part time during that time, even when I was working in Austin. But Matt came up with this vision to bring a streetcar race to Nashville and to throw a party. And we give him credit for the idea of coming up with the idea and the vision, and then he brought me on board, and I moved back from Austin, and then we added Chris to the mix, and the three of us really started on down this path almost 4 years ago of developing an event, and we wanted it to be much more than racing. We didn't want it to be just about the racing, and really that's what we all three bring to the table. We all three bring different sides of the business. Chris comes from the Nashville Predators and Bridgestone Arena, so he's more on the business side of sponsorship, sales side. Matt, came up with a vision and brought some of our investors to the table, and then I come from the motorsports world, which is all I've done for 20 years, and so we
Just a little bit.
It makes a good mix for the three of us to bring this event to Nashville, and we really did want it to be more than just a race. I mean, we love going to Toronto or Detroit or St. Pete, but really it's about the racing in all those other cities. Long Beach to some extent, McKellian and his crew do a great job of throwing a party and doing it, out in LA. But we want to take kind of the model they have and bring it to Nashville and do what, like I said, Nashville does best. And I think when we hosted the NFL draft a few years ago here, it really showed the world what we could do. We knew it all along because we lived here, and we see it, week in and week out in all the major events, whether it's 4th of July or New Year's Eve or CMA Fest or, whatever may be in town. We see it. But really, when the NFL draft came here, the world saw it. The world saw 600,000 people over here over 3 days, and everyone left with a great experience and great things to say about Nashville. And really, that's our vision, and that's how this got started. Was we want to put on a great event that's so much more than racing. It's an overall festival. It's the racing, but the racing's the reason to throw the party.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, trying to keep track of all that's going on. Like, yeah, there's a great race on a fantastic track, but like doing all sorts of stuff. Like, I can't even think like three things that somebody should do when they come to the race. That's like not just go to the race. Are you guys? I think you're having like concerts and whatnot. Like, what would you tell fans to do besides looking at a great race?
Yeah, absolutely. So the race, from all along, we've set this up as a festival atmosphere, and really we keep saying it's a three-prong approach. It's motorsports, it's music, and it's the culinary aspects of Nashville. So we want you to come to Nashville and enjoy all things Nashville, from the music and the culinary world. But Nashville's becoming quite a foodie city, so there's more and more chefs moving here, more and more Nashville-style food. So all the hot chicken you can eat over 3 days. But also provide tons of racing and provide a good mix of racing. It's not all IndyCar open wheel racing. It's IndyCar racing open wheel. It's supercars, exotics with the GT America, and it's pure American muscle with the Trans Am series. And so really I wanted to make sure we had a good mix and something that, everyone that even likes any type of cars would be excited about coming and seeing.
Absolutely. I mean, that is a lineup that even if you're not that into any of those series, you can still come and appreciate them for what they are and appreciate the cars and the speed and the sounds. And yeah, no, that's a very well-rounded lineup. I like that.
Thank you. That was my goal, was to mix it well. A lot of people were on us about why we didn't have Road to Indy here, and I just said, my answer to that is, as much as I love those guys and I love the development series and I love to develop, support the development of IndyCar drivers, for year one of us, it just didn't fit our model.
Sure.
We needed to be well-rounded. I needed to appeal to, the 100+ car clubs in Middle Tennessee that are all the supercar and exotic brands.
Exactly.
I needed to appeal to them. And then I needed to appeal to, the diehard American car fans that are Ford, Chevy, Dodge and could care less about a supercar. And so we really tried to make this well-rounded, and that's how we were very diligent in the series that we selected and very diligent in the classes that we selected within those series, because you'll see, TA's coming, but they're not running 3 or 4 classes. They're running 1 class. I'm getting new late model Ford, Chevy, Dodge, which is what I wanted. And for year one, we got the exact mix of racing and on track that we wanted. And that's not to say it's going to stay that way forever, but for year one, that was the right mix for us for year one.
Absolutely.
That's a very good way to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, you've put 4 years of work into this, and building this event, it's very much like building a brand. And the Road to Indy is a little more niche, and so maybe in a couple of years we can add them in. But yeah, for year one, especially coming out of COVID, we want to bring in as many people as we can, and I'll just say it, make as much money as we can at this event so it can keep existing.
Absolutely. But I'll back up just a little, because I don't think I fully answered your last question. I said it's about food, the culinary side, music, and racing, and I got off on racing, so I'm sorry. But
that happens all the time.
The other things that I would say fans can experience at our event is obviously Nashville, the city, downtown, Broadway, the honky tonks, the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Grand Ole Opry, Ryman Auditorium, all of those things here in Nashville, all that the city has to offer. But within our event, we will have nonstop music throughout the day. So each day we've got the up-and-coming artists, the What's New to Nashville stage. That's going to have up-and-coming artists that you may or may not hear on the radio. Some of them may have one radio hit. Some of them may have just signed a record deal and are on their way up. So that stage will be going all day, every day of the event. So from the time gates open until a headline concert starts at night, we will have live music on a stage. We'll also have headline concerts each night. So Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon, we have headline concerts, which will be our major, higher level, major artist, major name concerts each day. Also expect it's Nashville, so expect to have a very well-known A-list national anthem singer. And you also never know who's going to pop up just to be a guest. That's what happens here in Nashville. When there's a show, everybody shows up. So it may be X artist, but 9 of his friends who live here, who aren't on tour and are in town, show up at the venue and they pop up to sing 1 or 2 songs. And so really that's what we fully expect Friday and Saturday night to be. We're not ready to announce those artists yet. We're working on it. We're finalizing those deals, but just know Friday night, Saturday night, there will be major concert lineups with 1 or multiple announced artists. And then both nights, you'll probably see the way we're marketing it will be and friends. So
I love that.
Headline artists and friends. And that and friends part is you never know who that will be.
Right. It could be anybody. Well, I'll just say this, because Molly and I both feel the same way about a particular performer. If you have any pull at all with Dolly Parton, like that is just full on bucket list item to say hello to Dolly Parton.
That would be a tough one to get her to perform. I can't.
Yeah.
Well, I will personally give her a tour around the track. I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't say it's out of the question for her to be at the event, but
I hope she goes.
To get her to perform that's a big ask.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
She doesn't perform very often.
She
Yeah.
doesn't. But no, I have no doubt that the lineup you guys have will not disappoint at all. And speaking of downtown Nashville, I was there for a bachelorette party,
Of
and
course you
one of
are.
of course I was.
Nice.
You put 6,000 others every weekend.
I
Bachelorette
know,
party.
right?
The world.
Oh yeah, no, it was yeah. I'm a basic white bitch. It's true. So I was there for a bachelorette weekend. I will say that I already had boots. I did not have to buy any when I got
That's
there.
good.
So
As long as you didn't buy your boots and hat when you got here, you're not as bad as most.
nope, I brought my boots. They're actually courtesy of Molly's mom, and they're bright red, and they are fabulous. I'll be bringing them to the race too.
Awesome.
Um, but one of the things that I noticed being downtown, and of course being out with a bunch of other drunk girls, it's a very safe feeling downtown and around the bars and on Broadway and all that. There wasn't ever a point where we felt scared or insecure or anything like that. There's lots of lights, there's lots of people around, and it was a very very fun atmosphere, a very laid back atmosphere.
That is great to hear, and great to hear that a guest to our city and a visitor to our city felt that way. We feel that way every day, but we do hear that a lot. It is one of the safest, larger cities in America, and downtown is very, very safe within. And it's not like some downtown markets, and I don't want to use any cities as a comparison, but a lot of downtown cities may have one street or where their major sporting venue, arena, or stadium is very safe on that street. You go 2 or 3 blocks in any direction, and then you don't feel quite as safe anymore. Nashville is not that way. With
No, it's not.
within at least 5 miles of the stadium, downtown, in any direction, you are going to feel safe. Whether it's going into East Nashville, which is, I'll just say it is a little more hippie. It's millennial hipster part of town, but it's very safe. To West End, which is Vanderbilt University, to north of the stadium, to south. And all of those areas have been redeveloped. They're all very, very nice, and all have their own unique characteristics. And so downtown, as you said, is very, very safe. There's tons of people down there. It never closes. It's closed from 4 in the morning to 7 in the morning. They're opening back up at 7 and have live music on the stage at 8 every day. So, Broadway's open pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
It is very safe.
No, it absolutely is. And, I've driven through Nashville a lot of times, but I hadn't really spent much time there until that bachelorette party. And so, yeah, especially being an out of towner and just feeling, that level of comfort and ease was very nice. I was like, oh, Nashville, I will be back.
So did you ride on a woohoo bus?
Oh, yes, we did, of course.
Okay, of course you did at your bachelorette party. And for those that
Yeah.
don't know what a woohoo bus is, it's the buses with no tops that all the bachelorette parties ride around, and all they do is yell woohoo. And
Woo! Oh, yeah.
yeah,
We're woo-woo
I couldn't
girls.
do that, but y'all do that, and
Yep.
they're all over downtown. So
We're woo-woo girls. It actually, it poured rain that day. So they had thrown up a couple canopies like you would see at the
oh
racetrack.
yeah, they
On
just throw
top
up some
of the-
10x10 pop-ups and go.
Oh, yep. Nope, they totally
Yep.
did it. And I had to tell everybody, I was like, we've got to dump the water every now and then. I've been camping. I know these things. And so it was just a drizzle for most of it, but at the end it poured. But by that point, we had been served enough that we didn't mind.
Sounds
just-
like you had a great time in our city.
We had an excellent time in your city. Yes. 12 out of 10 recommend.
Awesome.
So yeah, we've already got a group of our friends that are excited and are looking at Airbnbs and already planning what they're going to do coming down.
It's gonna be pretty amazing. All right, you've hinted at a background in motorsports industry, so like give us the quick resume peek at all of the motorsports you've been involved with.
And also kind of like how you got into it as a kid.
Okay. Yeah. I have promoted every form of motorsports there is. I believe I've gone through every form there is, except for maybe powerboat racing in the U.S. So I started out at 25 at Memphis Motorsports Park at the time. I started as a director of sales and marketing, and 6 weeks later, the corporate jet showed up from Dover, Delaware, unannounced on a Tuesday, and the vice president general manager no longer had a job, and I was offered the job at 25 years old. So
Wow.
I was 25, 6 weeks experience in the business, and now the vice president and general manager of a NASCAR track. We had NASCAR Busch and Truck at the time. We had NHRA National Event. We had dirt track racing and a road course. So 300 plus events a year, 2 of those being NASCAR weekends. And so I was thrown right in it, right into the fire, and learned most of my time on the job. So it was a very eye-opening experience to be that young, and made lots of mistakes, but had a very understanding CEO at Dover Motorsports who hired me.
Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be a sponsor for a race car? With Sports Entertainment Travel, now you can. SET not only provides you with a one-of-a-kind weekend VIP racetrack experience, they do it without the VIP price tag. Your one-stop shop to feeling like a VIP begins on their website, www.sportsandentertainmenttravel.com. With the purchase of one of their VIP travel packages, you will receive deluxe hotel accommodations, round-trip car service from the airport to hotel and back, and breakfast daily. But now on to the fun stuff. You will also enjoy a welcome dinner with motorsports industry experts, VIP club and hospitality access, a meet and greet photo and autograph session with owners Jimmy Vassar and James Sullivan, and with their sponsored IndyCar entrant, Ed Jones. And your very own Fast Cars, Fast Girls will be sure to make an appearance at least once during your weekend. Your weekend will also be staffed with travel hosts to attend to any needs that may arise throughout your weekend. But don't worry, they will all have extensive motorsports experience as well. Pit and paddock tours and access where available based on city guidelines. You work hard, so you deserve to play hard. Book your VIP weekend now at sportsandentertainmenttravel.com and make sure to let them know that you heard about it from Fast Cars, Fast Girls.
So it ended up working out great for me and for the company. I ended up spending 10 years there in Memphis at Memphis Motorsports Park as the president. And after that, moved down to Palm Beach, Florida, went to work for Palm Beach International Raceway, which at the time when I started was one racetrack just there in Palm Beach. Some owners, some private equity guys had bought it and were reinvesting and renovating that facility. So I did that for a couple years. And then we ended up buying a few other racetracks. So in the end, we ended up with 7 racetracks across the country, as well as the IHRA, their International Hot Rod Association, and drag racing. So we owned 7 racetracks and a sanctioning body, as well as a TV production company, a print magazine, and a few other things. So grew that into a fairly large entity, and ended up selling that off to a private equity group out of Texas. And then, obviously, when that sold to private equity, the private equity groups always bring in their own CEO. So as the CEO, I was out with the ownership group when that sold. Ended up going to Circuit of the Americas in Austin. So at that time, it was 2015. So they had signed all their 3-year deals for their races when they opened in 2012, and they needed to renew all of those deals, and didn't really have a lot of folks with motorsports experience in their management group there. And so I went out there as the chief strategy officer. Spent 2 years running that venue. So there I had the pleasure of promoting Formula One with US Grand Prix, MotoGP. We had the X Games, ESPN X Games there at the time.
Yeah.
As well as IMSA, WEC, and numerous others of sanctioning bodies and series that ran through that venue. So I spent 2 years there, and then came back here to Nashville, this is where I'm from. So born and raised just outside of Nashville. Came back home in 2017, beginning of 2017, for us to start working on this race. And it took us from 2017 to now to get it done.
Excellent. That is quite the resume.
Yeah. And perfection takes time. So you guys have been working hard on it. No worries.
Honestly, I feel like we're going to come out of this weekend and be like, oh, I understand why it took 4 years. That was amazing. Yeah. So I assume you've got family in Nashville, so I'm sure that was nice coming home, being close to family and friends again.
Absolutely. Both sets of parents are here, and so it was nice to get back home, back to Nashville. And, I always wanted to be here, but since the super speedway closed in 2011, there just wasn't any any racing in Nashville. So
Yeah.
it took us bringing this race back here to get the event back. And then as soon as we announced ours, they announced NASCAR here, and so everybody's back in town now.
That's excellent.
Everybody just came on back.
I mean,
Yep.
it's about time.
It is. It is.
It is.
So
Well, and I was saying it's a great race for IndyCar fans because there are a lot of us in the Midwest, and Nashville is a very drivable distance. Of course, we would never fly for anything under, like, I don't know, 16 hours anyway, but because that's how we do in the Midwest. But
Yeah.
I mean, from Indianapolis, it's even obeying the speed limit. It's 4.5, 5 hours.
4.5.
Yeah.
It's 4.5 the speed limit.
Obeying the speed limit.
I drive it a lot. We have a lot of people. We had a ton from Indy here yesterday. So we had tours yesterday with all the NBC television folks and IMS production folks, and so we had a city full from Indy yesterday. So it is a quick and easy drive, and I'm up there quite a bit.
Excellent.
We do kind of travel in packs from Indy. We just invade as a whole species and then head on back out. That's how we do things.
We do. We caravan. Since we drive everywhere as it is, we always caravan.
So being from Nashville, you guys have got some like really notable names, like in on this, like Dale Jr., Justin Timberlake, the Big Machine Label Group. Like, how important is that to you to have, this not only just big names, but it seems like you have a lot of community support for this race.
We do. And when you said it just a minute ago, you'll see why it took so long. And really, a lot of it did take so long because we wanted to make sure we had all the stakeholders and everyone that would be involved with this 100% on board. We did not want to make any announcements early because throughout my career, I've seen so many races be announced and never take place, or so many racetracks be announced. We're building this, it's going to be fabulous, and shovel never hits the ground. So we definitely did not want to be one of those scenarios. So we wanted to make sure we had 100% sign off from everybody, and I think we did a fairly good job of keeping it quiet. There was a few years ago where it went through an earlier iteration with some different investors that it did get to a public meeting, and so that did become public. But since then, I think we were able to keep it very quiet until a week or so before we were ready to announce it. And then at that point, there were just too many people that knew that there was no way to keep it quiet. Once folks in Indy found out, y'all just tell everybody everything up there. So
I mean, that's true.
We do. Yeah, that's
100%. Yeah, as soon as somebody up here knows, everybody's texting everybody.
Yep.
I mean, it's a big state, but it's like one big small town. So everybody knows, like, even in my family, I joke that we could be all over the country, but everybody knows where you were 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago, and last night.
Yeah.
So it was very important to us to make sure we had everybody on board, from the city, the mayor, all the department heads, the governor, all the Convention and Visitors Corporation, and all of our partners here in town, primarily Tennessee Titans, Nissan Stadium. It was critical that we have them on board and have their support 100%, or we would not be able to do this event. There's no other area in downtown that we could put a paddock without using the Nissan Stadium parking lot.
Yeah.
And so that was critical, and that they went through a CEO change during that time. We went through a few mayors during that time, and so we just we had to make sure everybody was on board, and the people that were on board were going to be in place long enough to see the race happen. And so that did take a few years. And you mentioned the ownership. We started out with one investor, one guy out of Knoxville, Teddy Phillips, that believed in us and believed in our idea, and funded us from the very beginning to get this going and get it started and get some legs. And then it grew from there. Business partners of his, folks in Knoxville, folks in Nashville, started joining the group, and then we had a really solid group, and then all of a sudden the big names started coming out of the woodwork and wanting to be a part of it, just because they knew it was going to be an awesome event. They wanted to be a part. So we did take on a few more partners at the end than really we anticipated, but those names obviously were all big names that would help us. So having Scott Borchetta on board from Big Machine is definitely helpful to us with all the brands that he has and the folks that he knows. And then the one after that, the last two we announced obviously were You mentioned Dell Jr. And Justin Timberlake. So, when Justin Timberlake comes to you and says this is going to be a cool event, I want to be involved, you're pretty foolish to say, nah, we're good, we got enough money. So
Thank you, Justin Timberlake. You don't need to help us.
I mean, it was, regardless of the money, it was more about just having him involved and having his name involved and having him put his stamp on it to say, yes, I'm a part of this and this is going to be an awesome event. Same thing with Dell Jr. I mean, Dell Jr. is a big supporter of Nashville, and he said, a lot of people were surprised to see Dell Jr. involved with us instead of the Nashville Super Speedway and NASCAR and all of those other things that are happening in the city. A lot of people were very surprised by that, but Dell Jr. is, he's a very big supporter of Nashville. He's friends with, a few of our investors already that were on board and really wanted to be a part of bringing this new event to Nashville. And so we were obviously very excited to get him and to get, his name and his backing and his support on this event. And I think at this point, unless somebody else big comes out of the woodwork that we just can't say no to, I think we're pretty solid on the ownership group. And then we've got an advisory board for our first year event, and that board's pretty solid as well with some big names like Kix Brooks from Brooks and Dunn. There's tons of people that are involved here. Vince Neil from Motley Crue is involved, so a lot of music, obviously, but also some big names in the corporate world that may or may not mean anything to people. But Rick Dreiling, who is the former CEO and chairman of Dollar General, is now the chairman of Lowe's.
Yeah.
These are very, very influential people in the business world. And a history in racing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and I mean, that's just got to feel awesome to you guys, having spent so much time and, blood, sweat, and tears, literally, I'm sure, on this event, to then, when it starts to come to fruition, have huge names come out of the woodwork seeking you out, saying, we want to be a part of this. We want to get in on the ground level. Like, we don't want to let this go by 1 year and us not be a part of it. I mean, how awesome is that?
It's a very humbling and unbelievable feeling. It's something that we did not expect. When we knew the investors we had from day one, and we knew that we had the funds needed and the backing and the support we needed to put this event on. So we felt very confident in that from day one. From having Teddy Phillips from the very first day we started this, Teddy could fund the whole thing by himself. So we were never concerned with having the funds to be able to put the event on and promote the event and do it right and do it first class. But to have these other names, just the star power, want to be a part of this group and to say, I want to be a part of this and I want to support this. This is going to be awesome for the city. You're right. It is awesome. It feels so good.
Oh, I bet it does. Yeah. No, I mean, and just what a testament to, what a great event you guys have put together too. I mean, like you said, when Justin Timberlake calls you up and he's like, I want my name on this thing, I want to be a part of it. Like, you know that you have put together one hell of a great weekend.
Yeah, and it is. And that's what, and everybody is saying that. And almost to the point where we're a little scared by the expectations that are being placed on us. Because if you read social media like the two of you do, that I know you do, you read the drivers, you read the media, you read even Indycar saying this is going to be number 2 event on the circuit behind the 500. Mm-hmm. We haven't put a car on the track yet or even built the track yet. And that's the expectation that's being put upon us just from the way we've launched it, from the way we've marketed it, from what people see on social media, and from the announcements that we've put out. But I will say this, that we intend to do everything in our power, not only us as a group, but the city and the state, to back that up and to meet those expectations. Our goal from day one of this has been to put on the best guest experience and race that we possibly can. You said earlier, let's sell as many tickets as we can, make as much money as we can. And while, yes, that's important, that's not our primary goal for year one. Even coming out of COVID, our primary goal for year one is to make sure that everyone leaving this event says, man, that was a badass event. That was a great event. I had a great time. And they're not waiting in line to get in their door. They're not waiting in line for a porta-john. They're not waiting in line to get a beer. The music is great. They can hear it. They can see the race, even those that buy GA tickets. So we're gonna have 30,000 people here that don't even have a seat.
I want to talk about that because I have heard that the GA areas are one of the big things that you guys focused on, making sure that they still had great views.
Absolutely. And
And there's nothing I like more in a street course than that right there.
and great views, I say, let me preface that by saying great views may not always necessarily mean great views of the actual track, but great views from within the venue and being able to see the whole race and being a part of the event. So
And as long as there's a video board around, that's okay.
we're bringing 14 video trucks.
Oh, that's the best news ever. All right. Yep.
So there's no other street course, there's no other outdoor event that I know of in the country that's bringing 14 LED trucks. So just to give you a little idea of the layout, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it online, you've seen the map, but you haven't seen the detailed site plan that says, oh, we got a video board here and here and here and here and here. So every grandstand in the property, with the exception of grandstand 10, which is the one on pit lane in the infield, every other grandstand will have an LED screen across from it, so they'll be able to see from their seat not only the entire race, but also all of the headline concerts. So if you're in grandstand 6 or 7 across the street on the other side of the course, you don't necessarily have to walk all the way to the stage to see the concert that's going to be on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can sit in your grandstand seat and watch it and hear it. So all the headline concerts on the stage will be piped into all the LED screens throughout the property, whether you're in your grandstand or you're in your suite or your chalet or in the East Club. All of those areas will have LED screens and televisions. But the main areas for the GA fans, which is I know what you ask, is we are going to provide plenty of space for them. We are limiting the number of fans on the property for Sunday. And when I say limiting that, that's our choice to limit that. That's not COVID restriction. That's not anything else other than we want to make sure we can service and accommodate the number of fans on the site. Could we put 100,000 people in here on Sunday? Yes, we could. Would it be a good experience for those 100,000? No. So we are limiting Sunday to 60,000 total people on the property. We have 21,000 grandstand seats and then 30,000 GAs and then about 10,000 in clubs, suites, and chalets. So the 30,000 GAs, we will have our main fan zone with the main with the Indycar fan zone, the fan mall, all of those things. I've got a large LED truck there, and then we have the Cumberland Park, which we're kind of calling our family picnic area. It's right on the river. It's an earth amphitheater, so it's all grass, but it's shaped like an amphitheater with a pavilion and a stage. That stage will have an LED screen. We have an area we're calling the beach, which is down on the river. There's no sand, obviously. We're not going to put sand. It's grass, but we're still calling it the beach.
I like it though.
But we're going to have an LED truck down on the edge of the water at the bottom of that, so you can sit on the beach, watch the race on the LED screen with the skyline of Nashville behind you. We've got 2 concert stages. The main stage will have a 40 by 30 LED screen and all of the full audio for the race being piped in. So that can accommodate about 6,000 in front of that stage to watch the race. That's
excellent. And so, and that main stage is the one that's reserved for the headliners at night. Is that correct?
Correct. So
during the day when you've got the other music and other locations, that stage is still going to be utilized with a giant screen.
Absolutely. That stage used all day, every day. So
all
the content will be on that stage. The B stage, even though there's music playing, you'll still be able to see the content on the track. We're not going to pipe the sound into that one because we've got audio all day with music going, but you'll still be able to see the on-track activity. You'll still get all the same commercials. You'll still get all the same messages on the screens. And then the third stage will be our Victory Lane stage. We're going to have a Victory Lane that's open to everyone. It's public Victory Lane, open to the fans.
Cool.
And it's going to be a concert stage style Victory Lane, so it will have an LED screen on it as well. So the fans will be able to stand and watch the race at that stage during the day and then stay for the Victory Lane ceremony.
That's excellent.
This
and I will
is
say
fantastic.
Yeah. And I will say on the most updated map, which is on musiccitygp.com, it does actually show all the video boards.
Yeah, it's got the little green shapes. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
so great.
I placed those on that map, so.
You just do everything down there, don't you?
I don't do everything. Just I'm just the brand police and the site map and graphic design police. That's
Well, I'd say, but you're the motorsports expert, and like we chatted about a little earlier, motorsports fans are a little different breed, and you gotta understand them and know how to talk to them and know what they want. And so to have you be in charge of the video boards makes perfect sense.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Everything operational, everything on the site plan. So I'm responsible for the placement of every, and I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but every restroom, every porta john, every video board, every merch tent, every grandstand is placed based on, where I approve for it to go, and that's, a great responsibility and one that I'm happy to take on. But at the end of the day, ultimately, if people are waiting in line for restrooms and I put too many in one spot, and not enough in the other, then I'm going to be the one they're mad at. So
Don't worry, they can't this is just audio, not video, so they don't know what you look like just yet. So maybe just
oh yeah, I'm sure nobody's done a Google search.
That's true. IndyCar fans are pretty quick to do that. I say
That's not real hard to find me.
They'll find you. I know IndyCar fans. They'll find you.
Yeah, they will.
I say that. So, being in motorsports and I mean, can't be in motorsports and not be a fan. We're gonna have to ask about IndyCar stuff. I always like to ask this, even of people running tracks and promoting. Do you have a favorite driver? And of course, who is it?
In IndyCar, I would say no.
Really?
I don't necessarily have a favorite driver. I mean, obviously, I tend to lean towards Joseph, the hometown boy.
Of
Sure.
course.
So I have to lean towards Joseph for sure.
Okay. What about in other motorsports like NASCAR, Formula One,
NHRA.
motorboats?
My two favorite all time that are still racing or somewhat racing would be Bill Elliott in the NASCAR world. Bill and his wife Cindy are great friends and have been friends and known Chase since he was, riding tricycles around the motorhome area in the infield. So that whole Elliott family for sure. But then in the drag racing world, Clay Millican has been a great friend of mine for many, many years. His home, he grew up 10 miles from my racetrack in Memphis. And so he and I have been the closest of friends for 20 plus years. So Clay would be by far the top driver of any racing series on my list.
Excellent.
And you got to say that he's your best friend. Otherwise, that's a phone call. Very cool.
Excellent. Now, I say, are you going to any other IndyCar races this season other than yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So other than the Nashville one, which one are you? And we'll exclude the 500 as well, because that one's always super exciting. What's the?
Yeah, we'll be at that one. But
excellent. Nice. Do you guys? Do you get tickets every year? Or?
I've been several times throughout the year. I can't say from a fan perspective that I've purchased tickets and gone to a race, because that has not happened. I've gone to the race many times, but always been a guest of a sponsor or a team or someone.
Sure.
Race series. But we've got a group going down to Barber for the first event of the year. So we've got our sales team, all our ticket sales kids, all that group is going down to Barber, because some of them, they're selling this every day on the phone and have never seen an IndyCar race in person. So they're going down for that event. But they're great sales reps. When we hired them from the Titans and the Preds, and so they're used to selling sporting events. They just, had not seen an IndyCar race. So they're doing a great job, an amazing job for us. But then our management team and our executive team, we are carrying a group from the city down to St. Pete. So we're taking the Metro Nashville police, fire, EMS, Public Works, and the Special Events Office from the mayor's office. So all those folks are coming down with us to shadow their counterparts in St. Pete for that event, so they learn a little more of what to expect for our event here in Nashville in August. So
excellent.
Got a group of about 17 people headed down to.
Oh wow! So once you drop them all off with their handlers, you want to hang out with me and Molly the rest of the time?
I'll definitely come by and see you and say hello.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be sure to buy you a beer. Or water, depending on what you're feeling that day.
No worries.
But excellent.
Maybe bourbon.
Oh,
We'll do that too.
we can definitely do that. Do you have a brand preference?
Well, if I'm in Nashville, I prefer Belle Meade bourbon, which is my go-to here, but it's a Nashville bourbon. Some places in Indy have it, not many, but not sure about St. Pete. But other than that, probably Bullet.
Oh yeah, we went to that distillery about a year and a half ago.
Okay, I've been there
Yeah,
as well. Did
and
you
as a
see all
matter
the
of
bricks out front with the names on it?
yeah,
I have one of those with my name on
Oh,
excellent.
that's awesome.
That's very cool. Well, I'll tell you this: when you come to town for the 500, if you haven't already eaten there yet, eat at Barbecue and I know that you're from Nashville and that you all know how to barbecue. But I was actually just there last week, and the brisket is delicious, and they do have Bullet bourbon.
Oh,
it. Perfect. I will add that to my itinerary for the weekend.
Should
Perfect.
highly recommend it. And the greens have quite a kick to them, but they're really good.
And if I can't get there for Indy 500 weekend, I'll be back in December for a full week. So
Well, there you go.
even better.
I'll be there
Yep,
for
that's right.
all the PRI shows back in person this year.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Say PRI's back in person. That's right. Oh, I got to put that
yeah,
on.
I hated missing it. Hated missing it last year. It was the first
Oh.
one I've missed since 2001.
Oh, wow. That's a streak.
That is a streak. Yeah. No, it
Cool.
was sad not to be there in person with everybody, but definitely
It
this December.
was.
Yeah.
So, well, that's excellent. So, now have you been to Barbara before for
I
IndyCar?
have. I've not been there for the event. No,
Okay.
I have
Um,
been to Barber for some other events, but not for the IndyCar event.
Gotcha. It's a great track, I think, no matter what series is raced in there. Just the way that it's developed and how that track kind of folds in on itself.
Mhm.
It's yeah, there's really not a bad seat in the house. And Molly and I highly recommend the Wine and Beer Fest that happens on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay,
There's a free tasting. So
Mhm.
awesome.
yeah, it is awesome. I would say hit the early one, not the later one. Molly and I came close to missing the green flag one year, but we had a stellar time. I'll say that.
Made it. That's all that matters at the end.
We
is
made it.
it.
We did not break our streak. We made it. We were sitting with friends and watching cars when the green flag flew, and that's what matters.
Perfect.
Oh.
Then you
But
made
yeah,
it.
Barbara does a great job. And I'll tell you what, they have the cleanest porta potties that I have ever seen at a racetrack that has camping.
Okay.
It is something to watch.
Yeah, I mean they put an excellent weekend. So, but I'm so excited about the Music City Grand Prix. Now, I will say the cup you guys have, that looks sharp.
You like my trophy?
Yeah, I like the trophy.
That was my COVID project. That's what I sat at home
So-
and did during COVID. It was sketch that out on paper and go through 12, 15 revisions with the trophy company. That was fun.
Wow. Yeah.
Because we kind of guessed as to what we thought it might be, and we were like, is it going to be a guitar? Is it going
Not
to
going to be a
couple of
guitar.
eighth
That's the NASCAR track in Lebanon.
Gotcha. Okay.
They're not in Nashville, by the way. They're in Lebanon. They're full county away.
Okay. So that's some information we didn't have, so that makes sense. But yeah, we were
But
like, is it
yeah,
gonna
they do a guitar as their trophy, so we were not going to do that for sure.
Gotcha.
Sure. Makes sense.
But no, the cup looks sharp, and I love the river, the bridge, the city outline.
The eighth notes.
Yep, you saw the guitar notes holding the cup up. I like that.
Yep.
Yep.
We both were like, there has got to be music notes on this trophy somewhere.
Mhm.
Absolutely, I couldn't do it without
Right.
music notes. But
Just-
didn't want a guitar. Didn't want to be cheesy Nashville. Wanted to be true Nashville.
Sure.
I like it.
True
That's
music,
good. It is.
river, skyline.
Perfect.
Excellent.
We wanted
Very
to be
perfect.
cheesy. We could have put boots and a guitar
Mm-hmm.
and a bachelorette sash across it,
Bride to
The
be.
little woo bus on like
and a little woo bus.
yeah. See,
Yeah, the party
we can
bus.
make the world's worst trophy right here.
But
I
no,
worked
that
hard on
trophy.
that trophy. We're very excited about that trophy, and
That's
I would say 80% of the feedback we got was positive, and people thought it was cool and loved it. And then 20% said, "Ooh, I'm disappointed. That's boring. And why didn't you do a guitar? Or why didn't you do something really cool?" Or I would say if you put that up to most any other IndyCar trophies, I feel pretty confident about where we would fall. I mean, we worked hard on that, and we wanted to make sure it was something that was very distinguished and professional and not cheesy and not some acrylic something on a wooden base. You know, we
Yeah.
wanted it to be really cool and something that the drivers would really want and would have recognition long term. Because, I mean, we're not in this thing for obviously not one and done and one and see how it goes. But, you know, we signed a 3-year deal with a 2-year option with IndyCar and the city. And so we're in this for 5 years, and we're hoping to be the next, Long Beach or St. Pete or Detroit, where we're 25, 30 years down the road and still doing this thing is our goal and our hope. So we wanted something that could withstand time and be, a classic style trophy that would always represent Nashville in this city and be something that the drivers would want to have and be proud to take home.
Yeah, would
Oh,
want to
I
display.
definitely think you nailed it.
I agree. I mean, yeah, like you said, I'd put it up there. There's a couple of trophies I'd put it up there with. I say the St. Louis race, the Bommarito being one of them, just because they've got the iconic arch, and they
Yep.
kind of subtly lay the checkers into that, but it's very recognizable that it's that track, and I think
Yep.
you definitely achieved that. I mean, it's very Nashville, but like you said, it's classic, it's classy. Yeah, it looks sharp.
Well, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Well done on your COVID project.
I was very
Yes.
excited to unveil that and reveal that. So
I bet you were. All right.
All those
So,
years.
all right, Molly's got a good question for you. I'm going to ask a silly
Yep.
question, and then we'll let
All
you
right.
go. We know you're a busy man.
Gotcha.
So
hit me.
being a Nashville native, you said you grew up just outside of Nashville. What's kind of a hole in the wall spot that's your favorite place to go?
There's a few actually. If on Broadway, I would say Robert's Western World is a hole in the wall. It is one of the main honky tonks on Broadway, but don't sit in the front by the window or go to the back and have a fried bologna sandwich.
Mm.
Okay.
It's the hole in the wall for Broadway if you want to stay near Broadway and downtown. And then if you go to Midtown, where all the locals hang out, and you'll see, country artists or prominent people in the music world, truly local people that live here and not a bunch of tourists, will be winners and losers in Midtown.
Winners and
Okay.
losers. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
Winners and losers.
Cool.
Say
All
a little
right.
nod
Well
good
then,
song.
I love it. All right. So kind of the last question, and I enjoy that I can ask this, and some people get it, but what's the elevator pitch for IndyCar fans to get to Nashville in August?
The elevator pitch is this is going to be an IndyCar event like no other. We will provide you with the best Nashville has to offer, from Southern hospitality to food to music, and you will see a great mix of racing on the track with racing and music all day for 3 days straight.
Perfect.
That
Excellent.
sums it all up in really one sentence. It's the best Nashville has to offer, best racing on the track, in a great city with Southern hospitality.
I love
Love
it.
it.
Racing, music, food, Southern hospitality. What's not to love? Get your
That's it.
tickets for Nashville. Get them today. Book your hotels, book your Airbnbs, call your friends.
They're all available on the website. Tickets,
That's-
hotels, negotiated hotel rates that are much better than you'll find online or with any of the booking sites. So
Very
Okay.
nice.
just a tip for the fans. We negotiated our hotel rates and signed contracts before we announced this race. So
You
we have
guys
much
had
better
everything.
much
Yeah.
better rates than you're going to find going online and searching for one yourself. So
Okay, now that is something that is really for the people.
Yep.
Yep.
Very
Molly
nice.
and I, we camp at races that have camping, and so we always say we're in it with all the race fans. Don't worry, we are there in the campground with you. But the video boards, all the GA seating or availability, and then also negotiating the hotel rates. I mean, you guys have just hit kind of every single thing that a race fan looks for.
thank you.
Yeah.
Not our
So-
first rodeo here in Nashville.
That
This
works.
event,
That worked.
not for promoting races and trying to provide race fans with a great guest experience. So
It's
that was our
awesome.
ultimate goal, and the onset for this event was to make sure that we did that in the end, regardless of what happened, that people left Nashville saying we had a really good time and they took care of us in this city.
Excellent. Well, I have no doubt that Nashville will deliver on that promise. So, yeah. All right. Well, we should probably wave the checkered flag here and let you get back to doing work because you've got a great weekend planned, and we don't want to stand in your way from getting anything done.
133 days away.
All
Oh,
right.
wow. There
Be
you
here
go.
before you know it. It can be your last hurrah before school goes back in the fall.
It can.
Yep.
That countdown on our wall, I watch it tick down every day.
So it's creeping up on us. So, all right. Well, Jason,
Yes.
again, thank you so very much. Again, everybody else, you can find their social media stuff at musiccitygp.com. And then on Twitter, it's at musiccitygp. And I'm sure you guys are other places. Any other?
At Music City GP everywhere.
All right.
Perfect.
There we go.
Easy
And of
enough to
course,
remember.
absolutely.
Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat.
They are.
At Music City GP everywhere.
They are on the line. And of course, we'll link to their stuff as well from our website, www.fastcarsfastgirls.com, and we'll have it on all of our social media as well. Jason, thank you again. We can't wait to meet you in person, hopefully 500 weekend, but especially in your town. So
Yep.
we're looking
Absolutely.
forward to it. If not before, we will see you in August.
Great. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.